4 years ago, the Chamber dissolved its Political Action Committee. For many decades, that PAC financially supported candidates running for office at the state, local, and federal levels through voluntary contributions outside of membership dues. The Chamber no longer operates a PAC, but we have not stepped away from advocacy. The Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce is a 501c6. This is an important designation because it means we are organized to promote the common business interests of our members, and it allows for advocacy to help improve the business climate, support economic growth, and represent the shared interest of the business community. This is also reflected in our our mission statement. The Reading Chamber of Commerce is an association of businesses organized to improve the business climate and contribute to the economic health of its membership in the Greater Reading area. Running a business in California is challenging. Employers face high costs, complex regulations, workforce challenges, insurance issues, and a constant need to adapt. That is why local leadership matters. At the Reading Chamber of Commerce, our goal is simple. We want to make Reading the best place to do business in California. This is not a race to the bottom. It means creating a climate where businesses can succeed, families can thrive, and visitors feel welcome and safe. It means investing in public safety, infrastructure, amenities, workforce development, and the basic conditions that allow a community to prosper. County supervisors make decisions that affect public safety, homelessness, behavioral health, land use, infrastructure, economic development, budgeting, and the delivery of essential services. These issues affect employers, employees, families, and neighborhoods in the long-term direction of Shasta County. Our goal is to help our members in the broader community better understand the candidates running for office. Voters deserve thoughtful answers. They deserve to hear how candidates think, how they prioritize limited resources, how they approach collaboration, and how they understand the connection between county government and the local economy. At the Chamber, we will continue to advocate for policies that strengthen the business climate and contribute to the economic health of the Greater Reading area. That includes public safety, accountable solutions to homelessness, workforce development, economic growth, tourism, and local government that helps move our community forward. Thank you, candidates, for participating, to our Government Affairs Committee, and for our board for helping guide this process, and to everyone here tonight for showing up, listening, and engaging. A healthy community needs an active business community. A strong business climate needs more informed leadership, and good leadership starts with an informed electorate. So before we begin, here are the rules for tonight's forum. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for opening remarks. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to answer each question. After all candidates have answered a question, there will be an opportunity for one 30-second follow-up or rebuttal for each candidate in the same order if necessary. Each candidate will then have 90 seconds for closing remarks. Candidates may not use phones during the forum. Candidates may not speak while other candidates are speaking. Please, no comments or applause from the audience until the end. We expect professionalism and respect from everyone participating tonight. Our goal is simple. We want the public to hear the issues, hear the differences, and hear directly from each candidate in a fair and respectful setting. So we are going to start with our opening statements, 90 seconds. And again, these were all randomly ordered by ChatGPT. I came up with the questions with my board. Everything else is ChatGPT to help lay out my script for tonight. So it's completely random. Our opening statements, we will begin with Mrs. Resner.
All right.
Mrs. Resner, 90 seconds for opening statements.
All right. Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening. I am Erin Resner. I am a mother of four, a local business owner. My husband and I have owned Dutch Bros Coffee here in town for over 20 plus years. I previously served on the Reading City Council from 2018 to 2022, and I am currently completing a partial term previously served by Michael DeQuisto. I have a lengthy volunteer history, but probably the most relevant for this seat specifically is that I spent over a decade as a court-appointed special advocate for Youth in Dependency Court. That means advocating for foster youth inside and outside of the courtroom. And I think that we can all agree that there are real issues and real topics and business that needs to be done here. I'm excited to discuss some of those this evening. And whether you like every one of my answers or you love my voting record, I hope that at the end of this evening, you know that I am the candidate who listens well. I'm the type of leader who tells the truth, and I am someone who will fight for every member of this community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mr. Gallardo.
Hi there, Rich Gallardo. I've lived in this county for 40 years. I'm a retired military police officer. I also have 18 years experience as a firefighter EMT. I'm no longer doing that. I'm a commercial driver at the moment. My first dive into the political realm here was during the COVID. I highly disagreed with all of the unlawful, unconstitutional mandates, so I got active locally. This is not news to anybody. I started to Recall Shasta. I was the original chair of Recall Shasta because I and others disagreed with what the board was doing at the time. We all know the result of Recall Shasta. Also, full transparency, I'm a current proponent of the current Measure B. So I was also involved with that measure, gaining over 10,000 signatures for Measure B. I'm a staunch constitutionalist. I love our Constitution. It is what made our country so powerful and prosperous in such a short amount of time was adherence to the Constitution, both state and federal. And we are unfortunately so far away from that. And that's why I'm running today. And I'm also a staunch capitalist, supply and demand capitalist, with the teachings of Thomas Sowell and others. And that is also another reason I'm running, is because we need to change, we need to fix our fiscal house. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Supervisor Cry.
Thank you. And first of all, thank you, Todd and the Chamber, for hosting this. And I'm really thankful for this many people coming out. My name is Kevin Cry. I'm the current District 1 Supervisor. Been married to my lovely bride, Sarah, for 27 years. We have 3 amazing kids and most proud of our 2-year-old grandson. And a lot of people have asked, like, given the health challenges I've had over the past 4 months, what would make me want to do this again? And now it's really, really different. I mean, I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for Shasta County. I'm very proud of the work we've done to make Shasta County more affordable, safer. We've given local control back. We have a charter now. It had been tried roughly 3 times in the last 70 years, twice at the city of Reading, once at the county. And in my very first year, we moved that to a ballot, and all of you voted in March of 24 to make us the 15th charter county in the state of California. We've continued to make sure we streamline government and reduce fees. We audited 15 fees and found out that 13 were wrong. 11 hurt the taxpayer. 2 of them helped the taxpayer, so we fixed that. Also, we refunded over $18,000 to a bunch of notaries that were overcharged. Bottom line, I love Shasta County. This isn't about me. This is about all of you, and I want to make sure, like some of my 8th grade basketball team that came to watch tonight and understand a little about civic engagement. I don't want a community that they're taxed out of and they can't afford to live here when they get done with college.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Supervisor Cry, you will get to answer the first question. Where do you see opportunities for greater collaboration between the county and the 3 cities in Shasta County, Reading, Anderson, and the city of Shasta Lake? You have 60 seconds.
I think we're doing a great job right now already with collaboration. Recently, we're working with the sheriff and the alternative custody program and working with some individuals down in Anderson. We've actually loaned the city of Anderson money for their budget shortfall that they had. And with the city of Reading, we worked well on the alternative custody program together to secure that land. Now, that's something I'm sure we'll talk about later as well. And then Shasta Lake, we do have some crossover with them. But the most important thing is having a supervisor that is entrenched in your district. In District 1, a lot of our jurisdiction falls to the city of Reading. So we have very, very small unincorporated areas. But the most important thing is making sure we're there, listening to the people and understanding the needs that they have. And I'm very proud of the fact that the sheriff, when he wanted to do the alternative custody program, asked me to be involved because he knows if anything's going to get done in the county, it starts with partnering with me and bringing people together.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mrs. Resner.
One of my things that I think is really important is collaboration and fire prevention, fire mitigation, and overall tackling the issues that are likely coming forward surrounding fire feel like a great opportunity for Shasta Lake, for the city of Reading, for Anderson, and for the county. In a couple of years, I believe it's 2028, the funding that is currently set up for CAL FIRE is about to run out. It's going to require us to collaborate, to leverage our departments, our resources, our crews. And I actually, while I think that this is urgent and important, I also think that it's a great opportunity for us to collaborate.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mr. Gallardo.
Yeah, and the cities and the county, they already do some collaboration through joint powers authorities, and those are good things. And I will say, I think the Board of Supervisors probably has the toughest job as far as the time consumption of an individual board member. Just from what I can see in the last several years, it has got to be immense time consuming. And so that's going to be an interesting challenge to create new ways for collaboration because of the time constraints. But yes, and I hate to say, crime, homelessness, and wildfire, that's all low-hanging fruit. We all have to deal with those things, but we're all separate jurisdictions also. And we have our own autonomy on voting. We have our mostly autonomy on our incoming funds and how we spend those funds. So it's going to be interesting to try to deal with the same issues over and over again. But we need to change things because we can't keep perpetuating the system as it is.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Supervisor Cry, would you like 30 more seconds on this? Mrs. Resner?
I'm okay.
Mr. Gallardo? Question 2, we will start with Mr. Gallardo. What specific initiatives would you support to attract and retain new businesses in Shasta County?
Was the question initiatives that I would support?
What specific initiatives would you support to attract and retain new businesses in Shasta County?
This is a very simple question because I'm a true capitalist. We have to get government out of the way of business, private sector economy. Now, the government has a place, such as looking for trust violations and monopolies, so they do have a place. But the government getting in the way of the economy is what's caused the problems in our economy, especially with the Federal Reserve printing notes and causing this hyperinflation that we all are dealing with. So the thing is, we reduce regulations, reduce taxes, reduce fees, streamline processes, and get the government out of the way as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Supervisor Cry.
Here in Shasta County, we have very unique advantages. I mean, we have rail, the water systems we have in the state were, by and large, developed here in Shasta County. We have cheap power at the city of Reading. We have everything we need to be an economic boom. The difference is we need strong leadership to bring that out. This medical school that we're talking about and increasing and helping medical services could be a $700 to $1 billion boom in the first 10 years. If you look at the research and numbers out of Pikeville, Kentucky, they would even tell you that what Simpson brought forth, that's even possibly low estimates. What would that do to Shasta County, to our restaurants, to our housing, to our schools? All that extra money, $1 billion being infused. And guess what? That's done with zero taxes. That's done without reaching into all of your pockets and making it more expensive and harder to live.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mrs. Resner.
You said specific initiatives, correct?
Yes.
I really like the initiative that Supervisor Plummer has began conversations surrounding what are the key areas of industry within Shasta County and how can we partner with the EDC and with the Chamber to go all in and leverage our assets that we have already. I also would like to bring in an efficiency study. I've said it multiple times. We're doing it at the City of Reading. I think that we are having great work done there, and I would like to bring that to the county. One of the things that is a point of contention on the regular from community members is planning and permitting and streamlining it. I believe an efficiency study would be very beneficial to the county and to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mr. Gallardo, would you like to have 30 more seconds on this question?
I do want to respond to one thing that Mr. Cry said.
Yes, go ahead. 30 seconds.
So for the medical school, my concern with that would be that it is solely privately funded, private investors. Do not use any taxpayer funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Supervisor Cry, 30 more seconds.
As a capitalist myself and having roughly over 400 employees stretched across the state of California, you have to make big moves. And I would have a question for the lady to my left asking about bringing in studies. What that sounds like to me is if you've been in government 6 years, you should already know where some of that stuff exists. I'm not looking to bring experts in. We're supposed to be the experts. We've had employees. We make the tough decisions and we move forward and quit spending our money on studies.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mrs. Resner, 30 more seconds.
I'm going to point out two things, and I'm going to attempt to do them very quickly. I would ditto what Mr. Gallardo said about we don't have an extra $10 million to support a private endeavor. I think that this community can champion great projects and great things can happen. I'm not going to use your tax dollars to fund a private endeavor. I don't also think that we should be taking financial advice from someone who has filed bankruptcy as the expert in the room, and I would like to hire experts.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Question number 3, Mrs. Resner, you will begin. In your opinion, what are the top 3 fiduciary responsibilities of a Shasta County supervisor?
A Shasta County supervisor should be informed. That looks like reading your packet. That looks like asking good questions. That looks like talking to members of the community. It also is extremely important that you're making, once you have that data, you're making honest and unbiased decisions with those facts and with that data. And then ultimately, because it's our job to respect the taxpayers, we need to be following the law.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mr. Gallardo.
The question again, you speak kind of fast, sorry.
In your opinion, what are the top 3 fiduciary responsibilities of a Shasta County supervisor?
Well, again, being a capitalist is really important. A supply and demand capitalist is extremely important. We have to get rid of CalPERS. We need to get away from CalPERS. That is what's bankrupting so many jurisdictions across this state. And we need to move away from the defined benefit and go to a defined contribution. And we need to do a class action lawsuit with other jurisdictions to prove that CalPERS is actually a Ponzi scheme. And yes, I'm receiving CalPERS, and I just said it. It's a Ponzi scheme. The other fiduciary is we have to have 100% transparency with the taxpayer money coming in and to us, to then goes to the NGOs and the nonprofits. Right now, as soon as that money lands in those bank accounts, we don't get to see it anymore because it's a private document at that point. We can pass an ordinance to make those public documents as long as that money is separated into a separate account for public funds only, and I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Supervisor Cry.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the most important thing is we oversee the county's budget. So it's roughly $700 million. The most important thing to me and many of you is public safety. It's really important that our public safety has metrics that are quantifiable, and we hold those electeds and their budgets to outcomes and results. That's the first thing. The second thing is transparency. When I took over as chair, doing it back-to-back years, first time in 77 years, a chair had been voted in by their peers to do it 2 consecutive years. We took the budget process from 15 minutes in 21 to 22, it was roughly a couple hours. In 23, my first year, it was a day. When I became chair in 24 and 25, we stretched the budget over an entire week. So I think transparency is very important. And then the third is we have to increase economic prosperity and ability. That's why in resource management and public works, we've reduced fees and made it easier to operate here in the county.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mrs. Resner, 30 more seconds on this question, if you'd like.
I'm going to repeat the unbiased piece, because when you watch those conversations and those budget review, it is very clear who he likes and who he doesn't like, which systems within the justice system that he prefers to support and which ones he doesn't. That negatively impacts our community, because when one of them is handicapped, if the DA's office is handicapped, because guys, we're about to have 9 DDAs leaving, and we only had 25 to start with.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mr. Gallardo, 30 more seconds.
No, thank you.
Supervisor Cry.
I think it's interesting that the largest tax increase in the history of Shasta County, right, going back into the 1800s, was presented and championed by the individual to my left at the city council. When you give out gobs of one-time money for positions and administrative fees and then try and reach into all of your pockets to cover for that mistake, that's what we're dealing with. If we don't make sound fiscal decisions, the county will be insolvent, just like the city of Reading.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Supervisor Cry, you will answer this next question first. In times of budgetary uncertainty, what should Shasta County prioritize with its limited resources?
Absolutely. The first priority is public safety. Everybody, I think, here agrees that we have to work with our public safety entities to make sure that those are covered. Crime is always one of the biggest things I hear door knocking. Just yesterday, half the doors, it was about homelessness, and it's about crime, and it's about the drug element that still permeates the county. We have limited money. We are never getting a new jail. I'm telling you, when I ran and sat up here in 21 and 22 at the forums, it was all about building a new jail. The cost back then was $50 to $55 million. That same jail today is $160 million. You just saw what happened with Measure A at the city. It got crushed, 60-some%. We would need a 1.5%, maybe even a 2% tax on all of you to build a brand new jail and to be able to staff that. That's never going to happen. So we have to be very efficient with the money we have.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mr. Gallardo.
So if cuts have to be made, and they will, our economy used to be in about a 7 to 9 year economic cycle. That's no longer the case because the government gets in the way. In 2020 through 2022, trillions of dollars were infused into economies due to a cold virus. That money was not backed by goods and services. In fact, it was backed by fewer goods and services, hence the 40% inflation. In fact, some states even higher. So when we're going to do cuts, we have to prioritize which agencies are being effectively, the money is being effectively spent, and what are we getting for that money? Yes, public safety, yes, public health and all that, but we have to look at across the board cuts. That's the reality, folks. Okay? The money tree is still there. The feds are still printing money, exacerbating our inflation, but the truth is we have to look at cuts everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Mrs. Resner.
Guys, we are already in times of uncertainty. No one is going to dispute that public safety should be at the forefront and a top priority, because if people do not feel safe in our community, then nothing else that we're doing matters. But no matter whether we are in a time of uncertainty or not, I will not be a leader who gives millions of dollars to pet projects, and I will not be finding ways for myself or my friends to profit off of the taxpayers like he is doing.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Supervisor Cry, 30 seconds.
Once again, platitudes, no actual actionable items. At the end of the day, when it comes to what we're talking about fiscally, it's really, really simple. You have to look at the words of my opponents to my left's own words. When another council member at the city of Reading brought up huge budget issues, and she called it a charade, she called it a production. No. A person was warning us that we have hit an iceberg. Not that we're going to hit an iceberg. We hit the iceberg and nothing was done.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mr. Gallardo.
Well, regarding public safety and feeling safe, I'm an NRA instructor in multidisciplinary. You don't feel safe. The government has zero legal obligation to protect you. Zero. And that's through state laws, that's through a federal Supreme Court opinion. So feeling safe, I'm sorry, that is bumper sticker. But public safety is still important. But just understand, you are responsible for your own safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Mrs. Resner, 30 seconds.
Remember when I said that I was a leader who would tell you the truth? I'm a leader who will tell you the truth. So let's have a conversation. In 2024, I ran because during my time off of council, there were 7 of the 8 raises that were given between the years of 2023 and 2024. And I came back on to council so that I could fix the problems that occurred while I was there. I will tell you the truth and I will do the math.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mrs. Resner, you get to answer the next question first. What would you do to support and improve jail capacity and alleviate bottlenecks in the criminal justice system in Shasta County?
Mental health is extremely important and it impacts our criminal justice system. One of the ways that that impacts the criminal justice system and why it's so important that we have the ability to collaborate with other rural communities on solutions surrounding mental health is that we have an entire pod at the jail that is just dedicated to restoring competency so that people can stand trial. That creates a bottleneck in terms of inmates and beds. That creates a bottleneck at the DA's office with the ability to prosecute, and therefore it creates a bottleneck for justice in our community. This is why it's really important that we collaborate and we work together to find solutions around mental health, and I'm excited to do that with you.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Supervisor Cry.
The most important thing with this is the alternative custody program. It's not about talking about what could be done. It's what are we doing? Right now, the alternative custody program, I'm not super excited about it. I have to tell you, I would rather build a big jail. But again, we can't afford that. There are a lot of people that need rehab, but there's also a lot of people that just choose to break the law. And if we don't have a place to put them and hold them accountable, that revolving door just keeps going. When the sheriff asked me to get involved with him and go and fly down to LA and work with Doug Bond of the Amity Foundation, I said, I'm open to hearing what it's going to look like. Partnering with them is by far the best option in the entire country. There were 7 cities, and we're talking major cities, nothing like Shasta County in terms of our geographical size. I mean, they're in Phoenix, they're in Long Beach, they are in big metropolitan areas. The fact that they chose us is just an absolute blessing that Sheriff Johnson and I went down there, started that relationship, and we're actually moving towards outcomes.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mr. Gallardo.
So the second part of the question, the first was expand jail space, second part?
Alleviate bottlenecks in the criminal justice system in Shasta County.
So people have to understand, this is a hard thing for people to really grasp. The state laws and regulations regarding criminal justice, crime, punishment, how many judges you have, all of that, zero bail, all of that stuff coming from the state is why we're here. That is why we're here. None of us in this county want anything the way it is, but we're following state laws and regulations. And it's a mess. It's a nightmare, and we have to manage it. Yes, we do need new programs. I applaud something new. We have to do something different. And so I do applaud a new program. Yes, the people that don't want it in their backyard, I get it. But just understand, folks, homelessness, crime, all of it is because of state laws and regulations. And we need, as a charter county, we need to do something with our charter to try to minimize the intrusion of these horrible laws and regulations that cause all these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Mrs. Resner, 30 more seconds on this question.
I'm okay.
Okay. Supervisor Cry.
Yeah, the one thing is when you make decisions on positions with one-time money, those positions go away. So the city of Reading at one time had a very full police force. Now, because of decisions over the past 2, 3, 4 years, and I will be fact-checking the thing about the 6 to 7 raises that happened over. So you can make sure you go to Vote Kevin Cry on Facebook, because I'm going to fact-check that, because I know that's wrong. And the most important thing is making sure people understand that you can't spend your way out of bad decisions.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mr. Gallardo.
No, thank you.
The next question, Mr. Gallardo, you will start. Would you support a countywide 0.5% sales tax increase if it could only be used for new jail construction and operations?
The answer is no. First of all, the answer is no. And the reason is that's not even near enough money to build or maintain and operate a jail. Thank you.
Mrs. Resner.
My position on taxes is on the record and has been on the record. It is not my job as an elected official to decide what should happen in regard to taxes. That is the beauty of where we live. People who have an idea and want to put a ballot measure together go out and they gather signatures, and our position and our job as elected officials is to implement the power that you have yielded. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Supervisor Cry.
I mean, I am absolutely against new taxes. And I've run on that for 4 years because I think the first thing you have to do is you have to look at the money you're spending. And I don't even like to use the word spending. I like to use the word as investing. Because I'll tell you, I own it. I lived outside my means in my late 20s and early 30s. Fast and loose, somewhat reckless to a point, thinking the economy always does this. It has only made me stronger going through what I've gone through financially. And what I know is if we don't absolutely tighten down and understand what we're spending, because at the county this year, we're going to take a scalpel to our budget, a scalpel. It's going to be tough. We have big, tough decisions ahead, but it's not a chainsaw. We don't have to take a chainsaw or an axe to our budget because we've been fiscally responsible for 3.5 years, setting us up to be in a position to make tough decisions, but not catastrophic ones.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mr. Gallardo, any follow-up on this question?
No, thanks.
Mrs. Resner?
I'm so excited that Mr. Cry mentioned that he is anti-tax. I actually wrote down a quote of his that I would like to read to you, and this is a direct quote. There needs to be a come to Jesus moment with the public. I don't care what any politician tells you. We will not get a jail without a sales tax.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Supervisor Cry.
I absolutely said that, and she got it right. That's perfect. I said that. Because you know what? The reality is we're not getting a jail. And when it comes to voting, I'm not going to gaslight you and tell you why we need it. I'm not going to try and raise your power rates by 25% over 4 years. I let you guys decide. I absolutely loathed Measure A, but I stood silent because I thought the people of Shasta County were smart enough to make their own decisions, and by golly, they did.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Supervisor Cry, you get the next question. What are your top 3 goals as supervisor over the next 4 years?
Top 3 goals. There's 3 things that I'm not going to give you platitudes. I'm going to tell you what I've done and what I'm going to build on. I'm going to make sure we continue to streamline processes and efficiencies and making sure we hold the government accountable for the money that is spent and how we do that. So we talked about the 15 fees earlier. We're going to do that. I'd like to see that pushed even to 20 fees a year that we audit. The second is this medical school. There's a lot of collaboration that has to happen, whether that money comes some from the county or all privately. I mean, I'm pot committed. I have my own health challenges like many of you, and I can tell you it's not going to be better. And if not now, when? And if not us, who? We have to make that difference now to bring actual better medical care here. And the third thing is outside my jurisdiction. I'm the chair of the Shasta Regional Transportation Agency. I sit on that, elected by 10 seconds already. So the bridge at Buenaventura, we have to build that. I'll talk about that more later.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mrs. Resner.
Need a clock check.
First, I would like to bring to the board hiring an outside firm to do an efficiency study. Having a plan matters. Having a direction matters. Then we will take that plan and we will fully resource every aspect of the criminal justice system. Then we will tackle the cliff that is fastly approaching the budget. On my previous time on city council from 2018 to 2022, there was a $10 million unfunded liability. We formed a plan, we came up with a strategy, and in the first half, we fully funded that liability, and it is exactly what I will do at the county.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mr. Gallardo.
Well, I won't be too repetitive on the fiscal change and reform we need with CalPERS, unfunded liabilities, the unions and all that. Second thing is I want to return the meetings, the public meetings back to the people. Even though Senate Bill 707 is passed, which does some really interesting things, I would introduce a charter amendment to override Senate Bill 707 and also to supplement the current Brown Act and return the meetings to the people. And that also includes taking almost everything, maybe just the lawsuits we keep in closed session. Everything else, open session by default. And I just had a blank, so I'll just stop right there.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Supervisor Cry, 30. Yeah, the question was, what are your top 3 goals as supervisor over the next 4 years?
So again, I want to follow up with the Shasta Regional Transportation Agency and the bridge. The city of Reading has approved 100 homes, and it's actually for the peaks, but there's actually 275 in total, and there's no south fire evacuation route. In District 1, that's a huge issue. I live in a community of 49 homes, half burnt down, all with tile roof, stucco, and very sparse landscaping, and yet half of it burnt down. If we don't start thinking fire evacuation in big projects, it's not a matter of if the next big car fire happens, it's when.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mrs. Resner, 30 more seconds on this question.
No, I'm okay.
Mr. Gallardo, anything else?
Yeah, I remember.
Did you?
I can yield back to her. It sounds like she maybe want her time back.
I just wanted to say that I have typed out who voted, how they voted on each of those raises. So I'd be glad to give them to Mr. Cry as soon as we're done. He can fact check it.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mr. Gallardo?
I just want to show you my note paper here is blank. So the third thing that I want to do, I think Mr. Cry is a good man, but he is very misinformed. You're making me laugh. He's misinformed on constitutional matters, especially with his county council. I will undo the flock cameras. I will yank them out of the grounds. They're gone. And that's the big thing here. Mr. Cry is sorely lacking in his constitutional adherence, and I will bring all that back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. The next question, we will start with Mrs. Resner. Do you support Shasta County offering $10 million to Simpson University for the creation of a new medical school?
No, like I said, we are already in financial uncertainty, and funding a private entity is not something that I will be spending money on.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Supervisor Cry?
Yeah, well, the city of Reading does a ton of public-private partnerships, so I don't know where that comes from. That's like shocking. I didn't even have that in my notes that would even be said, but absolutely I support that. And here's the reason why is we, for the past 3.5 years, have been very fiscally responsible to put ourselves in the situation and in the driver's seat with some options. Now, working with Doug Bond from the Amity Foundation, I'm working with Senator Padilla's office. Supervisor Plummer is working with Adam Schiff's office, and we're working on federal and state funding for the alternative custody program, because when we set money aside for the jail in 23 and 24 and parts of 25, it was assuming that, again, going very back to the beginning, it was going to be about $50-60 million, $55 million. Well, now it's like $150 million. The jail is not happening. So how can we allocate that money to make the community better? And medical care is something that touches every single person in this room.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mr. Gallardo?
I believe I've already answered that question. No public money for a private medical school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Mrs. Resner, any follow-up on this question?
No.
Supervisor Cry?
Absolutely. When you look at the large detractors that we had coming out of the gate, and I'm going to, well, I won't even say their names because I want to honor them, but you look at the people who opposed at the beginning, they're now some of our biggest champions and advocates. They've joined the committee. They've locked arms with Dr. Norm Hall, Vice Mayor Dr. Paul Danuka, Dr. Irene Salter, and many other physicians, saying not only is this a possibility, it can be a reality, and it will change the face of Shasta County for 50 to 100 years.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Anything further, Mr. Gallardo?
For me, we have a minimum of $350 million in CalPERS liabilities, minimum. It's possibly up to $1 billion when you add the lifetime medical benefits on top of that. Let's start paying that down. Our kids, we can't lay such a burden on our kids and our grandkids. That is immoral to do so. Let's sacrifice a little bit now to save a little bit stress and financial ramifications. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Mr. Gallardo, you will answer this next question first. Do you support the current Corrections and Rehabilitation Campus proposal and its proposed location?
Yeah, we mentioned this a little while ago. I support anything that's new compared to the status quo that we're in. We have to do something different. The location itself, again, no matter where we put it, somebody's going to complain. And I think I just read today that there's a lawsuit against the county for that very location. So it's going to be a very difficult thing to do, to pick a location that is somewhat amiable and the least amount of conflict to the fewest amount of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Mrs. Resner.
I am in support of the sheriff's project. One of the things I think is really important is that we engage and listen to the community, because this is a very difficult topic. And so I am asking for feedback from the community. I'm asking for feedback from the neighbors. And then I'm going to the sheriff and asking about what that proposal looks like. Things that I will be focused on are what will and would be impacts based on the current design to the neighbors. What will the impacts be along the riverfront? Because if I'm going to be in support of a project and if it continues, I want to make sure that we are making accommodations and that we are engaging in the community.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Supervisor Cry.
I'm glad we're all in agreement that we support the sheriff. And that's why, again, I'm going to state it again, that I'm proud that the sheriff, and if you want to, and I don't get paid for this, I have to spend my own personal money to do my radio show, but go to thekevincryshow.com. Listen to January 25th's 2-hour episode with Doug Bond, the president of Amity Foundation, and the sheriff. And the sheriff says, if I want something done, I go to Chairman Cry at the time and Supervisor Cry, because he knows how to get it done. He can bring the people together. He said that. Listen to that. The sheriff and I have been working very hard on this. I've already had multiple conversations with people in that neighborhood. And if you watch the board meeting when that first came up, I stopped the meeting, I recessed it as chair, and gathered everybody up in the back of the room and said, hey, the sheriff and I and Supervisor Kellstrom, who is part of that district in District 5, we will go to your house. It wasn't until attorneys got involved that all that conversation stopped. But we're doing the work that they're talking about doing, I'm already doing.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mr. Gallardo, any follow-up on this question?
No, thank you.
Mrs. Resner?
No, thanks.
Supervisor Cry, 30 more seconds.
Absolutely. I would encourage you. I mean, don't take my word for it. Go talk to the sheriff. Talk to Supervisor Kellstrom, who represents District 5. None of us are excited about it. I feel bad for the people that live down there. I mean, I do. It's nobody would want it there. I get it. But the deal with the city of Reading for $1, and again, they'll say 60 to 70% of our hotel residents at the jail are city of Reading residents. So it was a great deal for the county. It was a good deal for the city, and it's definitely what the sheriff wants.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Supervisor Cry, you'll be able to answer this next question first. What can Shasta County do to make our communities more fire resilient?
Well, we're already doing a lot of that work. The fire mitigation, Sean O'Hara, working with CAL FIRE, their last report said we had the most fire mitigation of the 58 counties. One of the things that is looming in the future, and I'm already working with Chief O'Hara, as well as our Auditor Controller, Nolda Short, as well as our CEO, Dave Rickert, is we're going to come to this nexus where the county's not going to be able to afford CAL FIRE. Now, I had floated it about 6 months ago saying, what would it look like to have a fire department for the entirety of the county, working with our other jurisdictions of Shasta Lake, Anderson, as well as Reading. Those conversations and collaborations are going to happen, because when it comes to what we can afford with CAL FIRE, we've got about 16 months. We have 3 to 4 months or so till this budget, and then the next year it's going to hit us very hard. So when we talk about fire resilience, we're already doing some great work, but the big thing is going to be what happens in 16 to 18 months from now with our fire.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mrs. Resner.
I stated earlier that I think that fire is an opportunity for us, collaboration amongst the various different jurisdictions, Shasta County and Reading, whether that looks like involving Anderson and Shasta Lake in terms of leveraging our departments, our resources. Fire mitigation is going to continue to be a space that we need to give funding and that we need to find solutions for.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mr. Gallardo.
Well, with 18 years in CAL FIRE, I went to many of those destructive wildfires in northern and southern California. I saw homes a mile away from the fire front, concrete roofs, triple pane windows, and 1/8 inch screen mesh. I saw those go up in flames from the inside out. When you have 3 fire fronts merge into a fire tornado, you get out of the way. That's how it works, folks. That's the reality. And that was what, day 3 of the fire, I believe? Still the same. There was probably a lot of fire equipment there, but you have to get out of the way. That's just how it works. CAL FIRE already does really good fire mitigation, public education and mitigation measures. It's on their website. And I really don't see any improvement to it. When God decides to, put a big old fire and bring it right at us, weather and God's in charge. Just get out of the way, let it go by, and then mitigate what you can afterwards. So I don't think there really is much improvement, honestly. I think we're already doing what we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Supervisor Cry.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to go first and ask this question because I would like the individual to my left on City Council to actually unpack the vote to say we're going to put 275 homes in an area that's already been ravaged by fire. Essentially, what I hear from constituents as I knock on doors is that vote, Kevin, was to let us burn. And I've heard that, let us burn. So I want to know from a fire mitigation and safety standpoint, how could you put 275 homes in an area that's already been ravaged by fire with no south evacuation route?
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mrs. Resner, 30 more seconds.
The Peak subdivision was designed for fire safety to actually be a buffer into the city. And what I would like to ask is whether or not Supervisor Cry is willing to find money within the infrastructure budget so that they could pave roads out there, because a portion of the reason why you cannot access certain exit routes are because the county has failed to take care of their infrastructure.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mr. Gallardo, any follow-up on this question?
Yeah, quick follow-up. I read something recently that the CAL FIRE on-duty schedule hours are going to be changing soon, and that's possibly what Mr. Cry is discussing, and why that bill is going to get much larger. Maybe we need to start looking at maybe having our own county-paid fire department and getting away from contracting it. Just an option. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. The next question, we will begin with Mrs. Resner. Do you believe there could be further improvements with the resource management department at the county?
Absolutely. It's why I want to do an efficiency study on every single department. We now have less money to work with in your resource department. We now have less money to take care of those infrastructure things, because what happens when you cut things like impact fees, those impact fees actually create a budget so that the county can take care of the infrastructure needs as development occurs. So the thing we're actually doing when we get rid of impact fees is, instead of requiring the people who are doing the work and stand to profit from the development, we are putting that burden back on the taxpayer.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Supervisor Cry.
So we suspended impact fees in 2024. We have still not spent down the balance. I mean, if you pay for dinner, right, you would expect dinner to come to you. You don't pay for dinner and wait 3 years to have it served. And at the city of Reading, they took impact fees for years on the Buenaventura Bridge. It was in the general plan since 1969. Guess what? Who knows where that money is? Impact fees are unconstitutional. And if you're not going to have an outcome for money you've just spent, then what's the money for? Because here's the reality. The Nexus fee study said that we were going to be a community of 250,000 people by 2030. Well, we're up 1,000, down 1,000. So what you're seeing here is just another example of another way to make things more expensive and not hold government accountable, get the scalpel out, make the tough decisions, and live within your means.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mr. Gallardo.
And the question was about improving efficiency at the resource management and planning?
Do you believe there could be further improvements with the resource management department, which is planning and permitting?
We're all human. Yes, there's always improvements to be made at every time. Constant evaluation of your programs is necessary. That's how you make sure they're being efficient. That's how you make sure they're not bloated and that the money's not being waste, fraud, or abused. And again, the state of California, they used to pass 700 bills a year. Now they're passing anywhere from 1,200 to 2,000, and that does not include the associated regulations. And all those affect building and planning and resources. So it's a moving target for all of the departments to follow everything that is changing so dynamically in this state, because they won't leave us alone with their laws and their regulations. So yes, it can be improved, but they all can be improved. And for the reasons I just mentioned, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Mrs. Resner. 30 more seconds.
The resource department should feel like a customer service entity because government works for you and it is there to serve you. It should feel like when I come in and I have an idea or a set of plans that I want to work with you, that I want to find a solution for you, and that's not what it feels like. I routinely hear from people who are in there saying, this feels like a scenario where I want to pull my hair out. So customer service.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner.
So, page 268 of our budget, you can look up resource management. We have gotten way more efficient. And here's the thing is, money doesn't have feelings. I hear the word feelings thrown out. I mean, money is a static object. Either it's invested or it's spent. And with what we're doing at the Resource Management Department and Public Works, it's been overhauled, it's getting better, and we're going to continue to make sure it's better. The last thing we need to do is bring somebody from New York or Sheboygan, Wisconsin to come in and tell us how to run our departments.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mr. Gallardo, any follow-up on this question?
No, thank you.
Okay, it is now time for our closing statements. Supervisor Cry, you will begin. 90 seconds for this.
Well, it's an honor. It's an honor to be here, and I appreciate Josh laughing in the back at some of the comments that have been made because it is striking. I have a staunch record of being a very fiscal conservative. I'm a fighter for Shasta County, and I'm not a fighter just for any one particular district. It's everybody. It's everybody here. That's why I'm the most accessible supervisor. I'll give you my cell phone, 530-780-6124. You hear people talk about being accessible, and it's always a Twitter handle or an Instagram shout out, but I'm here for you. I'm here for my kids. I'm here for my basketball team who suffered through this to learn a little bit about civic engagement, and you guys are awesome for doing it. And I'll tell you, this county is worth fighting for. We've done some great work, and I want to continue that work. I want to get this bridge built. I want to get this medical school built. I want to continue to make sure we streamline government and make it work for us, because that's what it's intended. It's meant to work for us. It's your tax dollars, and it fiscally responsibility is of the utmost importance, and we're going to do it without taxing you to oblivion.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry. Mr. Gallardo.
Well, I'll have to disagree with Mr. Cry on a couple things. You know, $500,000 for license plate reader cameras from Zog Fire Settlement. I don't think that was fiscally responsible at all. And recently at a board meeting, there was a public health program, I forget which one, that they more than doubled the allocation from $2 to over $4 million. And the lady that gave the presentation didn't really give any good sound metrics and justifications to why that money needed to be doubled. I am a fiscal conservative. I'm a staunch constitutionalist. And I want to get our fiscal house in order and our constitutional house back in order. Our constitutional republic is meant for bottom-up governance. That would be we, the people. And we have lost that decades ago. We need to get back to we, the people. The charter county was a beginning, but boy, we need to hit the ground running. We need to get a citizen-elected charter commission. I'm waiting for this board to put that on the ballot. Elected people on a charter commission, so that public engagement, and we can start doing multiple charter amendments every cycle, not one or two per cycle, some which fail. And so I want to leave this place better for my son, your kids, and grandkids. And thank you for coming tonight. Thank you to the chamber. And Gallardo 4, that's the number 4, supervisor.com. I just did an interview with Action News Now with Haley. I just posted that on my website. Please look that up, and I appreciate everybody coming tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. Mrs. Resner.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming. I've written down a couple of questions that I would like to leave you with. Are you okay with struggling families being told to wait while politics come first? Are you okay with the opportunities for real solutions being dismissed when they could have changed and saved lives? Are you okay with leaders who create division rather than collaborate for solutions? Are you okay with behavior that tears down trust instead of building it? Are you okay with being blatantly misled about the state of the county budget? Are you okay with millions of your tax dollars being wasted on lawsuits just to fix mistakes that never should have happened? Because that's what we've seen the last 3.5 years with Kevin Cry. This is not about personality or emotions. This is about patterns. Patterns of putting ego over people, patterns of blocking solutions instead of fighting for them, patterns that cost this community time, trust, and real money. And at the end of the day, this isn't about us. It's about the next generation who's watching everything that we do right now. What are we showing them that leadership looks like? Are we teaching them about respect, about responsibility, and about telling the truth, even when it's hard? Are we raising them to accept this or to demand better?
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. That is our final question for the evening. Thank you all so much for being here, and thank you to the candidates.